Hey guys, this is Aaron. We are on week 4 of our architectural walkthrough. So we're building an architectural model inside of SketchUp. The next step, so we've put in our exterior walls, interior walls on our first floor. We got a reference image. Next thing to look at is doors and windows, which I'm going to lump together and use the term openings. So forgive me if you use openings for some other term. In this case, I'm just going to refer to doors and windows as openings in the wall. So I'm kind of breaking this into two different pieces. First is going to be the rough opening. That's the hole we're going to actually punch through the wall. Second is going to be actually putting door and window components into those holes. I know there are extensions out there that will kind of automate this process and pull it all together. And that's great. They're awesome extensions. I highly recommend you use them, especially if you're doing a lot of this. But what we're going to do is, again, in the interest of building your skills, is to walk through this process with just SketchUp tools. So again, feel free to call out those extensions in the comments, that sort of thing. But in this walkthrough, we're going to just stick to the basic SketchUp tools. So with that, we'll go ahead and hop on in. All right, so first thing I want to look at here is I have my reference image. My reference image has door and window callouts, but I can't see them. So one thing I might want to do is turn on X-ray. X-ray is going to give us the location of those openings. I do, again, because I'm not going to snap to these because they're kind of messy lines. So I am, as I go in here and do this input, I am going to use the dimensions that are called out here. Another thing that's not on here, you'll notice, again, just for the cleanliness of the output, I didn't want a whole bunch of extra information on here. I don't have callouts for the door or window sizes. That's fine. I'm going to be making this up or supplying this information as we go. It's not a complete drawing. Again, it is simplified for the training process. So let's just hop in here and look. So right here, I have a window. It's about a 3-foot window, and I'm fairly certain that it's a 4-foot tall window. So this is a 3040, something like that is called out. Now, again, there's a relationship between actual component size, your door or window finish size, and the rough opening that's required. I'm not going to get into all that stuff. I'm going to say that for this example, for this window, I want a 3-foot wide, 4-foot tall window. I want a 3x4 hole cut in this wall, and I want the top of it to be at 7 feet. So who cares how you come by the numbers? We're going to look at the process of actually putting that window in. All right, so we're going to walk through this a couple different ways. We're going to start with the basics, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double click into the exterior wall space. So I'm actually going to go into that group by double clicking. I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to just draw over 4 feet. Type 4 foot, enter, and that puts me right here at the middle. I'm going to come here. I'm going to draw a line up 7 feet. And then there's a couple ways I can go from here. So again, this is a 3-foot by 4-foot window. So what I could do is I could draw a line to the right, 1.5 feet. Draw that down 4 feet and draw it back. And then I could select this surface, move, option, copy it over there. I can get rid of my 2 redundant lines, and I could pull that in. That's an option. That is a way. I do have a hole in the wall now. That does work. So the nice thing is, so one of the things I can do right now is once I have this hole in here once, is I could take this now, and I have the same opening 7 feet over. So I could grab this, option, slide to the right, 7 foot, enter, and you notice it looks a little different if I turn off my X-ray and see that, yeah, it did copy it over, but it did not punch the hole in the wall. So pretty easy. I can draw a line here, and it will get that for me. Same on the back. Draw a line, and then I can just delete that surface out and that surface out. And I have my 2 openings here. So that is an option. That is a way you could do this. Totally works, totally fine. It is a way to do it. So I have a couple tips that are going to maybe help out with that. The first one, obviously this was the same window over and over again, or well, over and over again once. So this was the same opening repeated. I may have different sizes. So over here, for example, I have a much bigger window. So this one so this is a 9-foot wide. That is a huge window. So I have a 9-foot wide window. I would assume it's going to be a little bit taller too, so it's probably not the same here. Probably same header height though. Same with doors. I mean, the doors are kind of what's going to set my header height, my opening height. So one of the things I can do is come up with a reference for the top of the opening. So one of the things I can do again is if I was to come in here and I wanted to draw this up, I could reference this point far away to kind of come up to where the top is going to be. So it'd snap there. That would work. But that can get a little bit messy as you're working through here. Something I do see a lot of people do is they grab the tape measure tool, they grab their line, and they pull it up. So if it's 7 feet, 7 foot, enter. That's great. That gets me a reference line right here on the wall that I can snap to. That's awesome. Downside of that, of course, is I have openings on a whole bunch of walls. So that would mean creating a bunch of these reference lines. Not a bad thing, but it is some extra work. So what I want to do is show you a quick tip for setting your top of opening height for your entire model all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here. I'm outside the group. So here's my exterior wall, interior wall group, totally separate. And what I'm going to do now is draw a rectangle on the ground. This is not a precision input thing, just bigger than the model. And I'm going to triple click on this geometry, right click, and make it a group. All I'm interested in is isolating this geometry, nothing else to it. So what I'm going to do now is grab it and I'm going to move it vertically. I'm going to hit my up key to lock to that vertical reference, and I'm going to put in my header height. So again, I'm keeping this simple, nice round numbers, 7 feet, enter. All right, so what that did was it now created that surface at 7 feet. So if I wanted to, if I came in here and I wanted to draw this opening, I could come in here and click to that intersection and bring my opening down. What's the downside of that? Well, I basically have to wedge myself between my drawing and that reference line. Because if I come up here, I can start my rectangle, but I can't go down unless I flip underneath. So this is not an ideal setup. So there's a couple things I could do. I've had show this to people and they say, well, can you just make it clear, fill it with transparent? You cannot, because transparent materials are still materials. So that surface would still be there. That face would still exist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click into this group. I'm going to select this surface, and then I'm going to right click and say intersect face with model. What that's going to do is break this surface, not the walls, but this surface every place it hits one of those existing walls. Now what I can do is I can delete these pieces on the outside, and if I look at that, I have this nice sweet line going all the way around for my top of doors and windows, the tops of my openings. So now when I come in here to this group, I can come right here, and I'll do a rectangle. I'm going to draw half of it again, and I'll say this is we'll say 4.5, because we know it's 9 foot total, and I will say it's 5 feet tall. And then I'll take that and option, offset, boom, and then I can push that through. So kind of a nice option to speed up the input of your doors and windows. Of course, I didn't delete the inside surfaces, but I could double click in the group, get rid of all of these pieces here too, and that's going to give me those lines on the inside too. I would actually probably want to do that with a separate group on the interiors, because I'm going to have probably a different header height than what I have on the outside. But you can see that is a quick and simple way to get that reference in there. So from there, it is a matter of, wherever possible, copying an opening. So one more thing I can do, one more tip before we wrap this up, is duplicating and reusing these openings wherever possible. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my exterior walls. I'm going to grab this opening right here. I'm going to grab it by the middle of this point, hit option, that's going to copy it, and I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to drop this right here on this line. I didn't come in and make a reference first, so maybe I'll come in here right now. I'll say 4'2", and that's going to give me a reference point right there. And I can move that again, grab it by the midpoint, and get it lined right up with that point. One of the things I can do at this point, if this is a different size window, so this is a, we'll say this is supposed to be a 2-foot window, what I can do is with this selected, I can scale, I can grab it, option, start sliding it, and say that I want that to be 2 foot and hit enter. What that's going to do is actually resize along there so that now this opening is 2 feet rather than the original 3 feet. So copying and reusing that geometry with scale makes it a lot easier. Something else, again, this depends on the information you have. I have center line references for all my openings here. They all go to the middle. If you have the ability or have plans that pull to the edge, it makes it so much easier, because if I know exactly where this corner is right here, I can come over that dimension and then I can just draw my rectangle down from there. Really speeds up input. But like I said, a lot of plans come dimension to the center, so you have to work with that. And in that case, copying an existing opening and resizing it is a quick way to do it. So that's a couple ideas that you can use when you're inputting doors and windows into your model. I know I didn't hit everything every way you could possibly do it. This is something that's worked for me. A couple tips in there, hopefully, that help you with doing the same process. If you have a better way of doing it, I would love to hear about it. Give me a comment down below. Tell me what I missed, what I should have done better, or if you have an idea for a video in the future. While you're there, go ahead, hit subscribe, like. That way you'll know when additional videos come out, including this series, but then other stuff afterwards. We really love hearing what you guys think of our videos, because we make them for you. So let us know. Thank you.